What if I told you that the life you are living right now, the struggle, the silence, the feeling that nobody sees you, is not a punishment? What if I told you it's a setup? Not a trap, a setup. Because the people who change the world are never the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who were tested so hard for so long that when they finally rose, even God smiled. Even the devil had to respect it. Today, I'm talking to the ones who are still in the dark, the ones who pray alone, the ones who work in silence while everyone else seems to be winning. This one is for you. And before we go into part one, I need you to do something right now. If you feel like this message was made for you, drop 99 in the comments. Just 99. That's our signal. That's how I know you're ready to receive what's coming. Drop 99 and let's begin. Part 1. The weight you are carrying is not random. There's a young man, let's call him Marcus. Marcus grew up in a city where the streets had more stories than the schools. His father left when he was 7. His mother worked 2 jobs and still couldn't keep the lights on some months. Marcus wore the same shoes to school for 2 years. He learned early that shame was just part of the daily schedule. By the time Marcus was 16, he'd been told directly and indirectly that people like him don't make it. Teachers looked past him, coaches cut him from teams. The neighborhood had already written his story before he had a chance to pick up the pen. And here's what nobody talks about: the cruelest thing poverty and rejection do to a person. It's not the empty fridge or the secondhand clothes. It's what it does to the voice inside your head. Because after years of being overlooked, that voice starts to agree with the world. It starts to say, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe this is just who I am. That voice is a liar. And I need you to hear this, really hear it, because this might be the most important thing I say today. The weight you are carrying right now is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that you have been chosen for something heavy enough to require strength you don't even have yet. Think about that. You don't give the heaviest loads to the weakest people. You give them to the ones who can handle it, or who will be able to once they've been shaped by it. Marcus didn't know this at 16, but the weight was building something in him. Every sleepless night was adding density to his character. Every rejection was teaching him something no classroom could: how to keep going when there is absolutely no external reason to. And that skill, that terrifying, beautiful, rare skill, is worth more than any degree, any connection, any head start. Because when the moment comes, and it will come, the person who has practiced showing up when it hurts will always outlast the person who only shows up when it's comfortable. Marcus made it, but we'll come back to him. Right now, I want to talk to you. What weight are you carrying? What rejection have been living rent-free in your chest? What dream have you almost given up on, not because it died, but because you got tired of believing in it alone? I need you to name it, not out loud, in your heart, right now. Name the thing you've been too afraid to even whisper. Got it? Good. Don't let go of it, because part 2 is going to show you what to do with it. Part 2. The silence before the breakthrough. In music, there's a concept called the rest. A rest is a moment of silence, deliberate, intentional silence, written directly into the score. The composer doesn't forget to write notes. They choose silence because they know that without the pause, the music that follows doesn't hit as hard. The note that comes after a rest is the one that moves you to tears. Your life right now might feel like a rest. You're not going backwards. You're not broken. You're in a deliberate pause before the note that will change everything. But here's the problem with living inside a rest. You can't hear the music yet. You only feel the silence. And silence, when you don't understand it, feels like abandonment. I want to tell you about a woman named Diane. Diane had a business idea she believed in with every fiber of her being. She worked on it for 3 years while holding down a full-time job. She pitched it to investors. She was rejected 14 times. Not maybe, 14 times. Some of them laughed. One of them, I wish I was making this up, one of them told her the idea was charming, like she was a child showing them a drawing. 14 rejections, 3 years of work, and a word that felt like a pat on the head. Most people would have stopped, and honestly, nobody would have blamed her. You can only absorb so many hits before self-preservation kicks in and tells you to just stop. But Diane had learned something in those 3 years of silence. She had learned to separate her identity from her results. This is the breakthrough that most people never make. When you attach your identity to your results, every rejection becomes a verdict on who you are. Every setback becomes evidence that you don't belong. Every no becomes a mirror that shows you a version of yourself you can't stand to look at. But when you separate your identity from your results, something revolutionary happens. The rejection stops being about you and starts being about fit, timing, or their inability to see what you see. Diane got rejected 14 times, but she was not rejected. Her pitch was rejected. Her timing was off. The wrong rooms heard the right idea. That's a logistics problem, not a character flaw. On her 15th attempt to a smaller investor in a smaller room with less fanfare, someone said yes. That yes changed her life. But more than the yes, it was who she had become during those 3 years of silence that made her ready to use it. The silence wasn't wasted time. The silence was transformation time. I need you to shift how you see this season of your life. Stop calling it being stuck. Start calling it what it actually is, becoming. You are not stuck. You are becoming. And the becoming is the most important part of the journey because it is the only part that cannot be faked, bought, or shortcutted.
Part 3. The moment nobody tells you about. There's a moment that comes in every extraordinary life. It's not the big win. It's not the standing ovation. It's not the viral post or the sold-out show or the promotion. It's a quieter moment, a darker one. It's the moment where you are so close to giving up that you can taste it, where your brain has constructed a very reasonable, very logical case for why stopping makes sense, where you start to think about all the other ways you could live, smaller ways, safer ways, and they almost seem appealing. Almost. That moment, right there, is the most important moment of your entire journey. Because what you do in that moment will define everything that comes after. Most people don't talk about this because it's not comfortable. We like stories that go hard beginning, big middle, triumphant end. We skip over the part where the hero almost became a quitter. We skip it because it's embarrassing, or because it doesn't fit the brand, or because we've decided that vulnerability is weakness. But I'm telling you, that moment of almost quitting is not weakness. It is the final exam. Think of it like a door. On one side of the door is everything you've been working toward, everything you prayed for, everything you suffered to deserve. But the door doesn't open from the outside. It opens from the inside. And the only key that fits is the decision to keep going when you have every reason to stop. Marcus, the young man from part 1, he had his moment at age 23. He'd been working for 2 years on a community program for youth in his neighborhood. He'd run out of funding, his co-founder had quit, his girlfriend at the time told him he was wasting his life, and she left. In the span of 6 weeks, he lost the money, the partnership, and the relationship. He sat in an empty room, literally empty, because he'd had to sell most of his furniture, and he looked at the ceiling, and he said out loud to nobody, "Is any of this worth it?" And the ceiling didn't answer. God didn't send a sign. The phone didn't ring with a miracle. Nothing happened. And yet, Marcus got up. Not because he had a plan, not because he felt hope. He got up because something in him, something deeper than emotion, deeper than logic, refused to let the story end in an empty room. He got up. And 3 months later, a grant came through. A new partner reached out. The program expanded. 5 years after that moment of sitting alone on the floor, Marcus was standing on a stage, receiving a national award for his work with over 2,000 young people in his community. But here's what Marcus says now when he tells that story. The award was nice, but the real victory happened on the floor, because that's where I decided what kind of man I was going to be. That's it. That's the secret. The victory doesn't happen on the stage. It happens on the floor, in the silence, in the emptiness, in the moment when you choose to rise with nothing but your will to stand on. Your floor moment might be happening right now. If it is, I need you to know this is not the end. This is the door. Get up. Part 4. What the chosen ones understand that others don't. I want to talk about something uncomfortable because I think you can handle it. There is a lie that gets passed around in motivational spaces, and it sounds inspiring, but it is quietly destroying people. The lie is, just believe and it will happen. Just believe, just manifest, just think positively and the universe will deliver. And listen, I'm not saying mindset doesn't matter. It does. I'm not saying faith is useless. It's essential. But belief without action was enough, then everyone who prayed hard enough would be rich. Everyone who visualized hard enough would be healthy. And the world doesn't work that way. The chosen ones understand something more nuanced, something that requires both faith and fire. They understand that you have to believe and move. You have to trust the process and do the work. You have to surrender to the timing and refuse to be passive while you wait. There's a difference between patience and paralysis. Patience is active. Patience is saying, I don't control the when, but I control the what, and I will keep working until the when arrives. Paralysis is saying, since I can't control the outcome, I'll wait until I feel ready. Feeling ready is a myth. Nobody who ever did anything great was ready when they started. They were terrified, underprepared, underfunded, undersupported, and they did it anyway. And in the doing, they became ready. Not before, during. The chosen ones also understand something else that separates them from the crowd. They have stopped comparing their chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. This is one of the most destructive habits of this generation. We have access to everyone's highlight reel in real time. We watch someone else's success story from the outside and compare it to our struggle from the inside, and the math never adds up in our favor. But you don't know what chapter that person is on. You don't see the 10 years of failure before the overnight success. You don't see the therapy sessions, the broken relationships, the moments of doubt that nearly ended them. You just see the result, and you compare it to your process. That is not a fair comparison, and it is not a useful one. The chosen ones close the comparison app metaphorically and sometimes literally, and they return to their own path. They understand that their story is not in competition with anyone else's. It is a solo race against the person they were yesterday. And finally, the chosen ones understand the power of their pain. Not in a masochistic way, not in the way that glorifies suffering, but in the way that recognizes every scar is a credential. Every time you were betrayed and chose not to become bitter, that's a credential. Every time you failed and chose to learn instead of quit, that's a credential. The world will one day ask you how you got so strong, and you will point to the exact moments you were sure were breaking you. That's the alchemy of the chosen life. Pain becomes power. Setbacks become skills. The worst chapters become the most important parts of the story.
Part 5. The life that's waiting for you. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Actually, keep them open if you're driving, but if you can, close them. I want you to imagine the version of your life that exists on the other side of your consistency. Not on the other side of luck, not on the other side of someone finally giving you a chance, on the other side of your consistency. What does that life look like? Where do you wake up? Who's around you? What work are you doing that makes you feel like you are exactly where you are supposed to be? What problems are you solving? Whose life are you changing? Can you see it? That life is not a fantasy. It is a forecast. It is a mathematical outcome of who you will become if you refuse to stop. The distance between you and that life is not talent. It's not connections. It's not luck or timing or a miracle. The distance is made up of the decisions you make in ordinary moments. The decision to study when you're tired, to be kind when you're hurting, to try again when you've already failed 3 times and your pride is bruised and nobody is cheering. Those ordinary moments, strung together day after day, are what the extraordinary life is built from. There is a version of you that exists somewhere in the future. That version is calm. That version has figured it out. That version wakes up with a sense of purpose so clear it needs no alarm clock. And that version of you is looking back at this exact moment. They're watching you right now, and they're saying, "Don't stop. Please don't stop." Because they know what you don't yet, that what's coming is worth everything you're going through, that the life on the other side of this season is more beautiful than you have the vocabulary to imagine right now. Don't disappoint the person you are becoming. Part 6, the final word. I'm going to leave you with this. Every great story in history, every leader, every inventor, every artist, every parent who built something from nothing, every single one of them had a moment where the world said, "This is over." And every single one of them answered, "No, it isn't." That answer, quiet, stubborn, defiant, faithful, is the most powerful sentence in the human language. No, it isn't. The job fell through. No, it isn't. The diagnosis came back bad. No, it isn't. The relationship ended. The money ran out. The door closed. The people left. The voice in your head says you're not enough. No, it isn't. Because the story isn't over. Not while you're breathing. Not while you have one more idea, one more prayer, one more reason to try. The chosen ones are not chosen because they are perfect. They are chosen because they refuse, against all evidence, against all odds, against all logic, to act as if the story is finished. You are the chosen one of your own life, not because someone told you so, because you decided so. And the moment you decide, truly decide, that you are not available for the version of your life where you gave up, everything shifts. Not immediately, not dramatically, but it shifts. Like the ground moving a millimeter, you can't feel it, but the direction has changed. And 1,000,000 millimeters from now, you will be somewhere unrecognizable, somewhere extraordinary, somewhere that today you can only dream about. Keep dreaming, keep working, keep getting up. Because God is watching, and what you're building in the dark, in the silence, in the struggle, in the ordinary, unremarkable, unsexy consistency of your daily effort is a masterpiece. And the world isn't ready for it yet, but it will be. If this message hit you, drop 99 in the comments right now. Let me know you received this. Let me know you're still fighting. Let me know you're still in it. And share this with someone who needs to hear it today, someone who's been quiet, someone who's been struggling in silence, someone who needs to be reminded that their story is not over. I'll see you in the comments. God bless you, and keep going.